I truly don't know what to make of the Milwaukee Bucks because every time I feel like I see them in a big spot this year, like in-season tournament obviously comes to mind, but there's some other moments and some other games this year, and tonight was one of them. National television, big game on TNT. They seem to show up when there's pressure so far this year, and that's a really good sign for a team that I think hopes to see themselves as contenders this year. Are they contenders? I don't know, but I think they fancy themselves as able to become contenders, that's for sure. And I'm really interested to see whether or not it's a realistic outcome for this team this season. The Kuzma trade was unique to me, and I gotta say I don't love it so far. I don't know about his fit as like a small forward on this team. I don't totally love their depth. It's not trash, but it's not great either. Bobby Portis is out basically for the rest of the regular season for a suspension that I don't think is totally fair to him. It sounds like he took a very low grade painkiller that was banned by the league for some reason. It doesn't seem as though he actually did anything particularly wrong that I could tell, but there's a lot of interesting things going on with this team, and I don't really know what to make of them in total, to be totally honest. Impressive win tonight. Giannis with 28, 19, and 7. They did a pretty good job, I thought, against Jokic tonight, made him work despite having 32 and 14 and 10. I thought he actually 13 to 16, yes, but I thought they made him work, especially down the stretch. He had 5 turnovers. He had a couple of plays down the stretch of the game where they did a good job defensively against him and forced him to mistakes. And to be fair, Michael Porter Jr. is 5 of 22 tonight. I mean, that's not going to happen very much. One of the best shooters in the league. That's pretty catastrophic for MPJ, no doubt about that. But I just think that they have a consistent theme of being impressive when the lights are brightest this year. I mean, they dominated Oklahoma City in the finals of the in-season tournament in a game where they just, quite simply, it wasn't a game where you were like, oh, they got lucky. It was a game where they were like, oh my gosh, they're just a lot better than the Thunder were. And I know it's a 1-game sample size, but there have been moments like that throughout this season where I've gone, I see the vision for this team to be a serious contender. I'm just not sure that the pathway is totally realistic. I mean, they're 5-1 in their last 6 games, but they're all close games. A close win against Minnesota, good win, but close game. A close game against LA, close game against Washington. That should never be a close game. Miami, close game. Close loss to Houston, and then close-ish win to Denver. This game came down to the last couple of minutes as well. And it's just been one of those things where it's like, there's not a ton of consistency right now with this team in terms of being a high-level offensive team. And that's the biggest concern, in all honesty, that I probably have about the addition of Kyle Kuzma, is that he just doesn't actually help them that much offensively. His efficiency with the Wizards was really, really bad. And I mean, so far on the Bucks, it hasn't been great either. It's 41%, 29% from 3. It's just not high-level efficiency. In all honesty, his numbers do not look noticeably different from Milwaukee than they do from Washington, although I do think that the rebounding has been helpful to this point, although he's playing more minutes per game as well. I just think his efficiency is concerning for me if he's going to be like your 3 in your closing lineup down the stretch of games. And as good as Damian Lillard is, he's not quite the same player he once was. He's certainly a high-level closer, there's no doubt about it, but he hasn't found extremely high levels of consistency this year. And I mean, in general, the Bucks haven't either. They started 2-8, so since that point, they're 31-17. Like, they're a very solid team and have been a very solid team for quite a while now, but they've done it more with defense than they have with offense. In fact, their offense has been kind of anemic as of late, especially, which is the most interesting thing about a team that you would expect with Giannis and Dame to be extremely high level offensively. And so I don't totally know what to make of it. Like, for the season, when you look at their numbers, they're 15th in offensive rating, a 113.4, and defensive rating is 10th in basketball at a 112. Like, it's fine, but it's nothing special. And if you look at those numbers since they started 2-8, so I guess from November 11th, we can go ahead and plug that in here right here real quickly and just see what those numbers look like. They're certainly going to be better, and I think this is a more accurate picture of what this Bucks team actually is. But since November 11th, their offensive rating is still only 12th in basketball, and their defensive rating is 7th in basketball. They're winning games with defense and like average but not great offense, a 2.9 net rating that puts them 8th in basketball. Solid for sure. They've been a very good team for a while now, but they have not really, for any sustained stretch this season, been a truly great team. even in their last 6 games where they are 5-1 and have some pretty impressive close wins, the offensive rating's actually kind of bad. It's bottom 9 in basketball, only a 108.9, and defensive rating has been second best in basketball at a 104.3. And the addition of Kuzma there doesn't bother me. I think his size and versatility is absolutely there, and I think he's going to be a lot more bought in defensively on the Bucks than he has been, or than he was, I guess, on the Wizards. Seems like he's been good so far on that end of the court. But I'm not that concerned about the defensive end for the Bucks. They have Giannis. They have Brook Lopez, who just does not regress, it seems like, as a rim protector. And I mean, look, not every guard on that team defensively is great. Like, I don't think I am super high on Dame by any means defensively, or Taurean Prince, Gary Trent Jr., guys like that. But at least they have shooting. And so that's the most unique thing to me, I think, about this Bucks team, is that despite having a roster that you look at and go, oh yeah, they should be good offensively with Giannis and Dame and stuff like that, it just hasn't translated at a consistent enough level, I guess. And I'm not totally sure what the pathway is towards it starting to translate at a higher level. I mean, they're just not they're shot the three ball well. They're 38% from the field, or 38% from three, 55% from the field. Like, the efficiency is there. I don't know. I struggle to see the flaw for this team, but there is some sort of flaw. And I don't know if it's Giannis not really being a great offensive closer. His efficiency from 2-point range has been awesome. He's shot the mid-range great this year, but he is a complete non-factor from the 3-point line. And is that going to hurt them in the playoffs? I don't know. Can you trust Kyle Kuzma offensively in the playoffs when teams are going to leave Kyle Kuzma open in the playoffs? He's going to have to make shots from the 3-point line. And the question is going to be, can he do that? And if he can't, that's going to make it tough, because then you have to play Taurean Prince, Gary Trent Jr. a ton of minutes. And those guys, you're asking a lot of them on the defensive end of the court if you're matched up in a series against teams with top tier guards and wings, like your biggest competition in the Eastern Conference. Teams like the Cavs that have Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. Teams like the Celtics with Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Teams like the Knicks with Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges. Like, it just goes on and on. I don't know if they have the right roster makeup to truly contend. And yet every time I feel like I see them in a big game, my mind goes, oh yeah, I think this team can contend. And so that's the most fascinating thing to me that's going to be interesting to watch about the rest of the season, is they have a pretty, I'm not saying hard schedule, but a pretty interesting schedule going forward. It's certainly not an easy one. You get Dallas a couple times. Now that's going to be no Anthony Davis, no Derek Lively, no Daniel Gafford. Dallas still. So you're in a pretty good spot, I think, to win those games. You get Cleveland again. That's a big game. You get the Lakers, of course, a big game. Couple games against Indiana that could be massive for seeding, as well as a couple games against Detroit to end the season that could also wind up being extremely massive from seeding. Both those games, those sets of games could be huge. You got another game against the Lakers. You got a game against OKC. You got Phoenix, Denver, New York, Phoenix again, Miami, Minnesota, like a lot of good teams to close out the season. And so it's going to be important here as we reach the home stretch of the NBA season for the Bucks to start to find their groove, because the goal is the 5 seed. The goal is the 4 seed. I'm sorry. They're half a game back of that. And both the Pacers and the Pistons, who they're in close competition with, are very likely to have an easier path down the stretch of the season. Basically, they have easier strength of schedules. And so that's going to be the most interesting thing for me, is can the Bucks find the resiliency, find the consistency, and find the ability to beat some of these top tier teams down the stretch of the season and prime themselves for the opportunity to make a run in the playoffs? Because you want the 4 seed, so you get home court advantage against the Pacers or Pistons in the first round. And you want the 4 seed because Cleveland in the second round might be beatable. Who knows? They've been awesome all regular season, but I feel like I'd still probably rather see them than the Celtics in the second round of the playoffs. And so I think having the 4-5 seed and winning that 4-5 seed matchup would be huge for this Bucks team to give them a chance to make a deep run in the playoffs this year. And if they can't do it, well, the Giannis Antetokounmpo questions will start again, and I don't really know what to make of those at this point. I'm just unconvinced of this team's contention ability, but I'm intrigued, if I'll say that. I hope that makes sense. So I'm interested to follow this team and see what happens for the rest of the year, but I hope y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more NBA content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.